Labor is desperate to get back in the game. Absolutely desperate. What we've heard this afternoon is more desperation from the Labor Party in their rock-bottom polling results. They're worried about their marginal seats like the previous speaker, Mr Twyford in Te Atatu. So what are they doing? They're raking over a few of the issues that happened around the opening of the Rugby World Cup. And they're forgetting about all the positive aspects of the Rugby World Cup. Raking in the mire, trying to get some political point scoring, trying to shore up a few votes in the marginal seats of Auckland in the last dying days when this Parliament is sitting before we move into the true campaign. But I've got some news for Labor. No one is listening to them. Not one person in Auckland is listening to them. Now let's move to some of the positive things. I was there at the opening. It was fantastic. It was fantastic. I tell you what, we showed what a fantastic culture we have. We showed about our Māori and Pacific heritage. We showed about the pride that we have in sport, the pride also that we have in winning. And the fantastic thing is this was broadcast to over 200 countries around the world. Wasn't it fantastic? When the Prime Minister got up to speak, practically the whole of Eden Park roared with joy. I thought that was fantastic. Now, what we're hearing this afternoon from Labor is just like we heard when we had the debate over the Hobbit. They hate the Hobbit, now they're rugby haters. They hate the Hobbit, hate the Rugby World Cup. And what they should think about is just in the few days when we had the opening ceremony in Auckland, the first couple of days, what it generated for retailers up and down in the country was $2.8 million over 3 days. These are foreign transactions, all right? Just in 3 days. And we all know that we're going to have huge stimulus from the Rugby World Cup. And yet, in the last 2.5 years, moving to 3 years, all we've heard from the other side of the house, where are the jobs? Where's the stimulation? Where's the regional economic development? And now they want to tear down the Rugby World Cup and stamp all over it. They should be ashamed. Let's think about some of the positiveness that came out of that opening. When April Iramir wrote in the New Zealand Herald, phenomenal opening ceremony, better than the Olympics. I've been to a number of Olympic and Commonwealth Games, she said, and it surpassed them. Even the Daily Telegraph, Mr Speaker, in the UK had a headline that Kiwis light up night on and off the pitch. There is already a sense of carnival taking place. Yes, there were some issues, and I'm going to talk about those now. I think it's appropriate that the Rugby World Cup Authority step in and work closely with the Council and Auckland Transport as well. Yes, there were some issues. Yes, we need to open up more capacity at the waterfront. Yes, there were some issues in transport that have now been addressed moving forward. Going to be tested this weekend. An extra 100 buses, 400 extra security staff at Britomart, moving that to 100, which is going to be really important, and extra security on those trains. Yes, there is a message that's come out of this. We need to look at getting tourists to Eden Park and the New Zealanders in a multimodal system. They can't just expect to get on the train, because when the train stops, Mr Speaker, that means the network stops. So we've got to think about getting on the bus also, utilising the train, using private vehicles, and in some cases, tourists and New Zealanders will choose to walk to the ground. So there's a couple of other things that I want to conclude on, Mr Speaker. It's not often that I do agree with Trevor Mallard. But this afternoon when I heard him speaking, I did agree with one thing. He said that the cultural festival is a damn fine job and well done to them. Now, I presume what Trevor Mallard is mentioning is the real festival of New Zealand. Now, the Lotteries Commission gave some money to $9.5 million to get this off the ground, which is fantastic. Oversubscribed. $70 million worth of applications. 170 applications were chosen. And what we see up and down the country now, Mr Speaker, is New Zealanders engaging with the Rugby World Cup. Rugby World Cup tourists getting off the highway and engaging with provincial New Zealand and getting involved in some of the activities that are happening and the far north down to the bottom of the south. Things like a Taste of Southland, the Whitianga Scallop Festival, the giant rugby ball that's up in Auckland, these fantastic activities. Now, Labor want to tear down the Rugby World Cup, trample all over it. On this side of the house, we want to embrace it. We want to celebrate the 100,000 tourists that are here. We will ensure that these issues are sorted out for New Zealanders and for our visitors. We should be celebrating the biggest event in this country, not dragging it down into a cesspit like Labor want to do.
Members, order. Order. Members, this debate has concluded. Call on Government Order of the Day number 1.
Student loans.